At Your End Step is brought to you by Comic Town and BCW Supplies. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan. I'm here with Mike.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hi.
And we have another fun-filled episode for you folks this week. Definitely some exciting stuff that is sort of come to fruition since the last time that we've podcasted. Some community topics we want to quickly touch on, and then we did some GPs over the weekend that we wanted to cover. They are standard GPs, but we decided that we're going to try to be positive, and we'll see what happens. I don't know how much of positivity we can really extend to standard at this point in time, but we're going to try to be a little bit different. And when we talk about these GPs, hopefully,
I agree to nothing.
Mike agrees to nothing, and I can't blame him not to agree to anything. But I mean, this is the standard that we have for the time being, so we'll just kind of see what happens. But let's hop in right into the community segment. So first and foremost, I think something that is the something that's pretty substantial, pretty important actually, is there was a bit of a leak, a bit of a not even a leak, just like a gaffe, like an accident, an oopsie, involving some pretty important cards from Hour of Devastation. And this is something that was posted on an official Wizard site, which is pretty crazy.
I don't know what part it was. Was it like the game day thing or something, or
it was
standard showdown or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that, and it definitely kind of gave away some key cards that we we are going to be talking about. And where do you guys want to start? Which one do you want to start on?
Let's start out with Nicobolus God Pharaoh.
So the dragon, the god, the legend. I guess.
The face of the set. Oh,
may his return come quickly and maybe be found worthy. That's kind of awkward that we got this, right?
Yeah,
it's really crazy too. Is that this is definitely the Planeswalker deck version? So I don't know what the real. No, it's to be fair, Samit looks like the Planeswalker deck version. So
yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But
go ahead.
Break down this dragon pharaoh god, man.
Nicobolus God Pharaoh, 4 blue, black, and red for a Planeswalker bolus. It has 4 abilities. +2. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a non-land card. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. +1. Each opponent exiles 2 cards from his or her hand. -4, Nicobolus God Pharaoh deals 7 damage to target opponent or creature an opponent controls. -12, exile each non-land permanent your opponents control. So he can kill pretty much every creature and pretty much every planeswalker. Oh, and any player who happens to be at 7 or less. So there's that.
Did you say 7 loyalty?
And 7 loyalty. You're right. I didn't say
it's a lot of loyalty.
It is a lot of loyalty. And it goes up to either 8 or 9 if you really want to start ticking up immediately. So, this card feels like a Nicobolus.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. He definitely does all the things you think a Nicobolus would do, and is appropriately powerful for the mana cost. I think. I think this card definitely has room to see play, and it might revitalize some control strategies. I really feel like that he could be useful in. Maybe obviously Grixis seems like it'd be something that would be pretty nifty to have access to. I see that Mike is pulling up
Dark Intimations. I was just trying to wonder if Dark Intimations does make this worth it. Does adding the extra loyalty?
No, not at all.
Not really. It lets you go -4/-4.
But that's about
so
it.
If you want to kill 2 things, or I like the -4 that you can shoot your opponent, but you could also redirect to a planeswalker too. So it's almost like a destroy a planeswalker.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, that
unless they also have a Nicobolus.
Well, yeah,
which is at more than 7.
Yeah, that's a little bit awkward. I don't necessarily this card is big and it's splashy and it's kind of what we've expected to have from the Nicobolus Planeswalker sort of card.
And I can't wait for my opponent to spin Aetherworks Marvel and cast it against me.
Oh, don't be like that.
Hey, we're trying to stay positive here.
I said I can't wait.
Yeah.
Did you not hear the excitement?
I don't think you were being serious on that.
I think you might have been.
Take me at face value.
There might have been some sarcasm in that.
So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this, compared to the other high casting cost planeswalkers we've had, so original Nicobolus, Ugin, Karn. Those all felt like super uber powerful. This one doesn't really feel that way, even though it does have 4 abilities, I guess. So maybe that's the difference. But like Ugin was like, you just play this and then the game was basically over. I feel like this one's beatable, but maybe I'm wrong.
Ugin did cost 8, so did the original Nicol Bolas.
Okay,
Karn
sure.
cost 7 for sure, and also again broke the color pie and went to infinite things. But that was New Phyrexia, so I don't really speak about New Phyrexia that much. Obviously overpowered. I think this card's power level is incredibly high.
Yeah, no, it's definitely powerful. It doesn't, on just reading it though, it doesn't feel like it's like unbeatable.
None of the other planeswalkers you mentioned, including the original Nicol Bolas, could actually just come down and kill their opponent from a fairly healthy life total. 7 damage is a lot. I'm just saying, like being able to come down and just like 7 damage. Someone I was gonna say bolt them, but that's not even bolt. That's like I don't.
A searing blood. Or whatever.
No. It's the onslaught when we talked about this.
Yeah. Searing skin. Or whatever.
None of these sound good. But I do think yes, it doesn't impact the entire board the way the other one does. But I think like that is something that none of the other walkers could do. And that seems interesting to me, in the very least.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not saying this card's bad by any means. I'm just saying compared to like the other like 7+ mana planeswalkers, it feels weaker. But I could be wrong. Again, I haven't played with it. Obviously.
Sure, and we're also in a set that's depowered compared to other sets. So, so if this is the weaker version of those cards, I still think it's pretty powerful. I'm not gonna lie, I saw this card and got excited. Like I played Nicol Bolas in a Grixis deck when it got reprinted, not in the original standard, but it got reprinted.
Yeah, and, you're a bit of a fanboy.
I didn't have Frost Titan. But we have Gear Hulk, so I could switch them out. That's good. Yeah, I'm excited about this card. I think this is a cool card. So I
know what this is. I know exactly what this is. This is a backdoor way for you to like still play Drakehaven, but in the sideboard of a Grixis deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why not?
I see you.
Yeah,
don't worry.
If I discard my extra copies of Nicol Bolas, I got a trigger.
There you go.
So
perfect. Anyway. So, should we talk about the other Planeswalker?
So, we have one other good card, and then we have Samut. So, I guess we should get Samut out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure the other card is that good either.
Also, one other debatable card, I would say.
I think it's close to good, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
let's talk.
Debatable.
Talk about Samut, probably the second worst Planeswalker ever.
Samut, the wish they never sparked.
Yeah, Samut, the better as a creature. So yeah, this is obviously the same Samut that is in Amonkhet as a creature, and we see that their spark has ignited, and they get some pretty mediocre abilities out of it. So it's Samut the Tested, or I mean, they didn't really even have to test this card. You could just print it, and it wouldn't do anything. So
Samut will never be tested in standard.
Correct. So it's 2 red green, so 2 generic red and a green for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. It has a +1. It says up to 1 target creature gains double strike until the end of turn. It has a -2, and it says Samut the Tested deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 2 target creatures and or players. Right?
Among 1 or
1 or 2, yeah, excuse me. And then it has a -7, and it says search your library for up to 2 creatures and or planeswalker cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So
how hilarious is it that this card actually tooth and nailed for the
combo?
Combo?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's actually hilarious. But I mean, even if it did that, it still wouldn't see play. Like even if cat combo was still a thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Ultimate's very powerful. Tooth and nail on a card is very powerful. The problem is that its 2 other abilities are 1 mana cards. It literally +1 assault strobes and -2 fork bolts.
Yeah.
Like, why is my 4 mana Planeswalker doing this? I'm not getting that much card advantage out of it. I don't understand. I think I said it was Chris Van Meter on his social media, but said like it looks like the Robo Rosewater just like created generic Gruul Planeswalker. And it was like printing generic Gruul Planeswalker. Like this is what you get.
I mean, yeah, this card's like Tybalt levels of pretty bad.
Yeah, it feels that way, right?
Like, yeah.
Like, why would you play this over Arlen Cord?
I mean, you wouldn't.
And Arlen Cord's not even like that great either.
No,
but certainly better than this.
Arlen Cord actually has synergy with another mechanic in this block, Exalted. It's hilarious. Exert, yeah, Exert. I mean, technically Exalted as well. I mean, Vigilance Exalted is pretty good. But anyway, Exert is actually what I mean. This card is just bad. Now, it does some interesting things with Heart of Kieran, in my opinion. You can, like,
Crew it and double strike it.
Yeah, which is
That's a thing.
that is a thing, but it's not good. It doesn't make this card redeemable. Like the -2 is it should.
What does it do in standard right now?
So if it was a bolt, would it be better? If it was at least
Arlencourt's a bolt that doesn't see play.
Well, no, but I mean, like, so Arlencourt, it isn't a bolt that could
Arlencourt.
Arlencourt is not a bolt that could be divided, though.
That's true, I guess.
So, like, is arc if it was
Arc lightning, yes. If it was -3 arc lightning, I think this Planeswalker's much better. But
yeah.
We did see a couple Pummeler decks make a return, so maybe, because those decks have ways to give creatures trample, and double strike and trample is really good. So possibly,
I maybe, but man, like
possibly,
I don't know. This card does not feel good, and it's sad.
yeah.
It does feel different from other Planeswalkers we've gotten, but when I click on it, and Mythic Spoiler tells me that this is look at the cards it's compared to, right? You see that one down there at the bottom right?
Is that Diamond Raid?
Oh, it's Diamond Raid.
Oh, don't.
No, like this
Don't even.
This is not Diamond Raid. Don't you do that?
It's closer to the Sarkhan Vol.
Yes.
Yeah, which
a lot of people are like,
was cool, but
a lot of people are even like, this doesn't even pass the Sarkhan Vol test.
I mean, Sarkhan Vol gave a creature haste. That's better than double strike and bubble to me.
all your creatures haste,
Even better.
and +1.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious, and I'm definitely not the first one to point this out, but like this version has less abilities than the creature version.
So funny.
It's still funny. Do I get to introduce the last?
Sure.
card?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So the third card that we got was Bontu's Last Reckoning. It's a generic black sorcery. Destroy all creatures, and then lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So it's a 3-mana damnation, I guess. But the drawback is pretty bad.
Yeah, that drawback is rough.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing that I thought about with this is like, okay, well, if you have alternate ways to get mana, so artifact mana or creatures or something like that, sure. But creatures doesn't make any sense because you're just going to wrath them.
Correct.
So artifact mana, which we don't really have a lot of in standard.
You got that corrupted Graphstone, right?
Yeah, we get that.
And you have the other one.
You can power up the pyramid and then use that.
Hedron Archive.
Hedron Archive.
that doesn't-
Hedron Crawler.
so,
Oh, no, that's a creature. Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't even matter that much because then you still can't tap any of your other mana that turn, or else it will also want to tap. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think it'd be more interesting if it just said untap all but 3 lands or something in next turn, so you didn't just completely, I guess, time walk yourself by casting it. Now it's possible. I don't know. Maybe having this on turn 3 is worth it, but I would argue there are other sweepers that with the Flaying Tendrils that we have in standard right now, which could do a lot of the same work, but I don't know. I guess it doesn't hit Constrictor and stuff like that, but I don't know. I just think it's a pretty big drawback for 1 less mana than you would expect.
This comment on Mythic Spoilers Unreal. It's like you have to exert yourself to cast this.
Yeah.
So I think this card is better than you might think initially, just because. So we really haven't had a 3-mana Wrath like this in standard. It compares this to Toxic Deluge, which we never got in standard. Is an amazing card.
Right, and that would be way too good for standard.
Breaking Point was just a hilariously bad card from Judgment. It's destroy all creatures, or your opponent can take 6 damage, and your aggro opponent looks at the board and goes,
Yeah.
I'm at 14. So
I'll take 6.
this one though I think is interesting because you can play it on turn 3 if you need to, which literally can be the difference depending on. We don't really have a swarm deck like that in standard right now, but humans would have sufficed even last format. But I think the difference is turn 5 your play pattern with this, where you can hold up negate or essence scatter, or even turn 4 with fatal push, where you can tap out for your wrath and keep a spell up. Those that for that turn just in case. And I think at least in current standard how it's been, you look at something like the 5-mana wraths, what's the white one?
Fumigate.
Yeah, Fumigate, right? You can gain a bunch of life, but there's so many things in this format, including vehicles, where you could just be well, it didn't matter, you're just dead. Well, this lets you, yes, you have to essentially pay the mana twice, which is a real downside. But being able to, on turn 5, play a Wrath and hold up another spell, I think is a big deal. So it may never be a thing, but I think it adds to this card's playability.
Yeah, I think I like the way you phrase that, like pay a mana twice. I think that's like a good way to look at this. It's almost like Echo.
It is
like
Echo. It's certainly Echo.
So I mean, like if you really think about it as like, well, it's not really a 3 mana
It's Echo
wrap
that doesn't
because
give you a choice.
over the course of 2 turns. This is assuming you do nothing else. Like you don't tap your lands for something else. It's like it's essentially costing you 6 mana. That's like you get to cast it slightly earlier. So I mean, basically it comes down to like, is it that essential to cast this card on turn 3, or are you better off? Going a different route. Like,
well, in black, you currently aren't going a different route.
yeah, I guess.
Like you for 3 mana, you can
I
play.
believe like Eugenes,
Invest,
we have like
you know what I mean?
Eugenes expertise, which is be
Sure.
like the next card I guess that you could play, and that's not even that's seeing some sideboard play, but
Right.
that's not like a wide.
No, I don't think it slots anywhere currently just yet. But I'm saying like I think it's a cool card to have. And I said I think the difference. I'm not so worried about like, casting on turn 3 can be a big deal, but I do think the play pattern of being able to hold up a counterspell with this is at least interesting.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see.
So I think there's been also a lot of interesting conjecture that this could be like a part of a cycle, which is compelling. I think they're like, what kind of spells could they like push in standard with this drawback? Like, would they ever have like a counter spell with this kind of text on it?
So like blue counter target spell. I don't know how good that card is,
I
but
don't think.
so I think
I'm not saying it's good.
I think
but,
it works
would
like
they
this.
do
Like
it?
the red one is like 3 mana, deal like 10 damage to your opponent. You don't untap. The white one's put 12 1/1 spirit tokens into play. The blue one is draw 2 cards, discard a card for 3 mana, and you land so untap.
Sorcery speed.
Yeah, sorcery speed.
Can't be too careful there.
Yeah, come on. It might be
So like I
broken.
think
Oh, and the green one is draw 6 cards, put up to 2 creatures from those cards from your hand into play. They gain haste at the end of turn. At the end of turn, fling both of them, and it costs 2 mana, but your land's don't untap. So
It's a drawback, you know.
yeah, you gotta have a drawback.
Yeah.
Well, you have to sacrifice the creatures too. I mean, like you don't just get to
yeah.
keep them.
yeah.
That'd be way too good.
But I think it could be pretty interesting as like a cycle.
No, I think so too. That's a cool little bit of design space to play in. Like what effect is worth mana sinking yourself essentially. So
I think the red one maybe bolt.
like just bolt.
It was like 2 mana, 5 damage or something like that. Be pretty good.
I don't think bolt's good enough for this effect because like
No.
if it's something that's that
It's a
mana
1 mana
efficient,
thing that
like,
taps you all out. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, I just want lightning bolt out of the format, man. I just want 3 damage. That's an instant speed back.
It's definitely just lightning strike with this
No.
text printed on it.
That's
At
not the
rare.
same thing.
I guess
Stop
thing
it.
The thing that I don't like, I mean, and outside of like your example, Mike, about counter spells or whatever, it's like you're basically giving them like 2 free turns to set up, because like you
And
wrath.
this affects time walk.
Yeah, so like they just get a turn where you're like you can't really do much, and then you don't get to do anything on your turn really. Now this is all like maybe late game you have like 7 lands in play and you're like okay I'll leave 4 mana up or whatever. But if you're casting it early, you're just giving them 2 turns to like set back up again, and it's like you're kind of going to be in a similar position. So I don't really know.
Just find a way to give your lands vigilance and it'll be sweet. That works, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Now this is just the setup for like.
And Harry Potter, they have vigilance.
Yes, they do. But that is a different game. All right, so I mean that's it for this sort of thing is. It kind of stinks. Obviously, we've talked about how like this is going to ruin like a lot of like. There's going to be some weird spoiler articles.
Hey, they did it themselves.
They did do it themselves.
Yeah.
I'm
can't
not
even
going to
blame,
disagree with that. They certainly did.
Can't
How
blame
much of a relief though does the person that had Samet as a spoiler like feel like now? They just gonna go, whew.
Maybe I'll get a good card now.
It's probably Wizards. In all honesty, it's probably like a story spoiler. Let's be fair. The creature getting their spark in the next set is fairly interesting. The most time we had that was like with Narset, but Narset like that was a different timeline. Like this is just
like, Narset seemed cool though. Like Samet, like I don't know where Samet or what Samet does in the story, but it's just like I don't know. It just seems like kind of like a thrown-in character that's like, oh yeah, this person randomly became.
From what I understand, like Samet is like the one that's like sees all this as being like all the trials and stuff like that. They like see through it as being like a little fishy. So like they just like know stuff as far as I know. I don't know. I haven't read the stories, but
yeah. They find like old. I don't know. It's weird. Like old stuff.
cool.
Yeah, like like tells of it.
So
We're
like
going to Mike's
they
story
go
time next
they
week.
go thrifting, and then they're like, oh, look at this. Anyway,
Look at this T-shirt. It says no stop make love, not God, Pharaoh. I don't know. And it's like they used to not like this guy.
oh, crazy.
Make love, not God, Pharaoh. I moved that T-shirt.
All right. So the other thing that we kind of got the whole shebang on is the new Archenemy set, which is Archenemy Nicobolus, and they kind of broke it down. It's like this whole box set that you just get these pre-constructed decks, which you already knew about. You get these planeswalkers, which is pretty sweet. We get some pretty cool planeswalkers, some fan favorites.
You get the worst art Gideon of all time.
The worst are any of these planeswalkers. I'm sorry, but they're all really bad. Like I look at the art on the box of this and like see that Gideon and see that Nicobolus, and I look at the cards and I was just like, why? Like, what? We were so close already.
The Bolus isn't bad, but the other ones are
The
pretty
Bolus certainly isn't good. The Bolus definitely looks like it's about to fall backwards. It stood up so straight that it's like, whoa, hold on.
I forgot how heavy these wings are.
Oh, this old back is not what it used to be. Hold on, guys.
He is an Elder Dragon.
I mean, at the very least, like obviously they are made by the same artist, so they have that unity going on with them, and you do get Gideon Jura. This is a planeswalker that has recently gone up in price, which is kind of a good get. And then you get like Pyromaster, which is modern playable. I mean, it's kind of outshined by the newest Chandra, and you get Nissa Worldwaker, which is Anissa. I don't know. None of them really broken into modern that much, except for like the Kaladesh one, kinda, and that's like kinda. That's kind of a thing like you make happen, and not is something you should probably do, I guess. And they have their own decks as well, and we obviously have a lot of schemes, which are the special things within Archenemies. These schemes that happen that affect the board in some persuasion.
Do we kind of break like the way the Archenemy works? Like
You guys handle that because
so like the way Archenemy, so like and the way they set this box up again, like this cool box is set up like an actual board game. Once again, if you notice, it tells you how long to play out of the box, and like you have all the setup for it. So you could buy this like in the board game section, which is again that's a nifty thing that Wizards is doing, probably under the Hasbro umbrella, where it's like, hey, these are also kind of board games.
Yeah.
But essentially, you end up playing 3-on-1. You have one person's deck, which is the Archenemy. It is the villain, and the villain's deck gets to also have these schemes happen. These major things take effect. So it's 3-on-1, but the schemes are like fairly devastating to the other three. So it actually works out pretty well. And there's some other small rules with it. I really haven't played it too much, but it is supposed to set up like this. If you ever played the old WoW TCG, not Hearthstone, but the actual World of Warcraft TCG, they had raid decks, which were like Onyxia's Lair was one of the raids. A Molten Core was another one, and you would play a bunch of decks against the raid deck, and it was like similar to this, where it works out where you have multiple people playing against huge effects, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and some of these, I guess some, if not all of these, all have art inspired by.
Yeah, it's set on Amonkhet.
Yeah. So you get to see a little bit more of that art if that's sort of your lifestyle, not your lifestyle.
Your lifestyle.
You got that Amonkhet Egypt lifestyle.
You got that Archenemy scheme lifestyle.
Yeah, whatever you're into.
Whatever you're into. So do we have any? So like this is all like new art, Amonkhet art. Do we have any like story spoilers or anything like that?
There's some other little cool things in here. I do want to take a look. If you looked at the one that's called "What's Yours Is Now Mine," you should recognize that art. I think very distinctly if you've not seen it before. I don't want to like this is bad radio, but I want Dave to see it. It's up closer to the top, I think.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
We'll come back to that one.
What's yours? Oh yeah, it's a Slave of Bola.
Yeah, Slave of Bolas. It's literally
that's
Slave
one
of
of my
Bolas.
favorite arts ever. Actually, so I knew I saw that immediately.
Yeah, it's with a new angel though.
So there's a scheme called Power Without Equal, which has been hinted at. It shows some like what could be more Amonkhet gods, but out in the wastes. And if you follow the lore for Amonkhet, we just kind of alluded to, there were actually 8 gods on Amonkhet, but 3 of them have sort of been deleted since like they've been erased from all the lore since Nicobolus got there. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if like they kind of come back. So this might be the first picture of them wandering the wastes. They might actually be zombified. I don't really know. So it's kind of interesting. Beyond that, though, we get some cool stuff with just like some really cool like scenes, and this is kind of nifty because like I don't know how many pieces of art they can put Nicol Bolas into Hour of Devastation, but this definitely gives a lot more like flavor to the plane outside of the set, which is kind of sweet.
They're like, Bolas action shots.
Bolas showed up with his own photographer.
Bolas around town.
Yeah, like look at the mighty will fall. He's just like, all right, guy, you got to like stand over here by the edge of this cliff, and I'm just gonna knock you off.
So like,
we'll get a sweet shot.
Behold My Grandeur is definitely like his.
Oh, yeah.
That's his like senior photo, right?
Oh, absolutely. Or like some cool quote like,
"Everyone, look how great I am."
Nicol Bolas, Planeswalker, Elder Dragon, God Pharaoh. You're better.
Voted most likely to be evil.
Voted most likely to be a CEO. Did it? Oh, how about this? Voted most likely to become president.
Oh, topical. Blah, blah, blah.
How about every dream is a nightmare? He's got like this like gremlin smile on his face. I take it back. No, it's not a gremlin smile. Every dream a nightmare. That is Goomba face.
Oh,
That is
no.
Mario Brothers Goomba face. Put a little harmonica around that face.
Oh no.
Sorry. That's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I made you remember something you hated about your childhood.
Yeah, sorry about that. Our bad. Like I don't know. With the references that we make, like it's bound to happen.
Plumbers.
Yeah.
They have plumbers on Amoket?
Probably not. I mean, maybe. I guess. I mean, they have like aqueducts and stuff. I imagine, like running water to some degree.
It might get blocked up sometimes.
Oh man, this world belongs to me. Definitely has Bolas holding sand. I could just like look at that art and just be like sands through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives. Oh man. The Sands of Time, sorry, Katie, that's my wife. Sands of Time is not in this set. It's weird because like an actual hourglass with sands in it, it's an actual card, not in this set.
They've already done that one.
Not in this set. Flavor fail. I write a lot of letters to Wotc. You want to write one too? All right. I never send them.
You just have a desk drawer. You just look at it and just caress the top of it and then close it again.
I save them for Christmas and then I light a hearty fire.
All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it for it's out there if it's something that interests you. And I mean, this one is pretty cool. Like I said, having everything kind of come in a box and not like separate packs or anything like that is like really nice. And it could be a cool thing to do if you like, take the night off of F&M or just want to like get a casual game going. Or in all honesty, this might be a way to introduce people to the game.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah, like it's like, oh yeah, you just play with these and it's cool. So, and there's not like you're certainly not like value hunting for it. You're just having fun. So
Yeah, exactly. So that's it for the community. Before we jump into competitive, we do want to give a shout out to Comic Town, our lovely sponsor. And they are having their PPTQ this Saturday, June 10th. And it's going to be sealed. So sealed Amonkhet. It's going to have a start time of 11 a.m. And so players... is that for that's likely for the actual players meeting?
11 a.m. is players meeting.
And then 10 a.m. will probably start registration. So, and it's going to have a $30 entry fee with 1K of store credit being awarded to the top 8. In addition to the, of course, our PTQ invite. So, if you will be in town on June 10th, please come to our lovely store, Comic Town, and take part in the PPTQ. All right, competitive. Let's get this party started. So first and foremost, definitely want to talk about some of our local events that happened. And we all played in local events. We played in the Team Trios event, as well as I know Dave played in the Modern IQ, and it's kind of a bummer weekend. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, it wasn't great. We
I think combined with both of our teams and the Modern IQ, I think we won 2 matches.
Yep.
That's rough. That's a rough weekend.
Your team didn't win any matches,
Nope.
right? We won one, and then you won a match in the Modern IQ.
Yep.
Yeah, all right, proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like, we actually practiced a fair amount with our sealed pools. We got to play a little sealed GPT on Friday, which was meh, but we thought we had okay decks, but didn't really come together, unfortunately. It was a little tough.
Yeah, it was. I mean, our sealed pool wasn't the best. We didn't have anything that was super powerful or really bomby. I think we made the best decks that we could. Realistically, with probably a slight margin of error, just for like lack of even though we did do a lot of testing, like lack of just familiarity with the limited format. But I didn't think our decks were actively bad comparatively to like what we opened and like what people around us opened. So it was just things sort of didn't break our way. We got some unlucky draws, unlucky mulligans. And I don't think we played like particularly poorly either. It was kind of one of those things that can happen at a limited tournament.
Yeah,
you know?
I won my. So I played a blue green ramp deck, which I thought was actually I thought it was our best deck. We had a red green aggro deck that was really good, but I thought like those are the two, like especially strong decks. And like I won the first 3 games I played. Our first match we won, and then the first game of the second match like without playing like it was just easy. And then the next 3 games after that I drew 12, 10, and then 16 lands consecutively. And 16 was all of them. I played against it was actually Jordan. No, it wasn't Jordan. I'm sorry. It was a winning team. It was Chase Harrell and Tyler Manti and I'm just gonna call him Ruggles, and that's sad. It's random Ruggles, and they actually won the whole event, right? They won,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
But like against him, like the comment was made that like I had 8 cards left in my library. I'm like, I know, like all my lands were already out of it, so it's like, well, at least another 8 spells didn't matter. So I had flooded too much. So that's just one of those like things of variance where it's like, like, and obviously like the team that we played there at the end was, or that we got our second loss to was a good team and they went on to win the thing. But just like games like that in Limited that are just like really, in Magic in general, just frustrating because it doesn't feel like you're playing Magic.
Yeah. So my team, our sealed pool wasn't the best. It wasn't like terrible, but we were definitely missing a lot of the key commons that you need. So we had like 0 Electrify, 0 of the black exile a creature, 0 Gale Strike, 0 of the 2-mana bounce.
Gale Strike's an uncommon.
Is it okay? I thought it was common, but
yeah,
basically we had none of the
Winds of Reckoning is the
yeah. We had none of the like cheap. Like basically, I ended up with the blue green ramp deck on my team, and like my only way to remove a creature was like I had 2 Floodwaters.
I mean, Floodwater's a good card.
It's a good card, but like it's 6 mana, so I mean,
Sure. You're cycling a lot.
Yeah, we played some early creature against me, and it was just staying out there. There's nothing I could do. So we ended up with a blue green ramp deck, which the top end of it was really good. I had like 2 late claims and a pull from tomorrow. And then just
one of those, I had a late claim and a pull from tomorrow too.
Yeah, and just like a lot of giant creatures. So basically, if you could survive, it was good. Like you're gonna go over the top of pretty much everything. We had a really good green-white aggro deck. We did open one of the Angels
of Sanctions.
Yeah, Angel Sanctions, which obviously is busted. That was like the best card we had. It was just a really good, aggressive deck. A lot of exert and like the untap tricks. But like again, like we had one of the pacifism cards, but kind of really lean on removal just overall in our pool. And then the other deck was a red-black deck, and I think we just had like 1 magma spray. It's like this is just like it's really awkward. So I mean, like I felt like the decks were okay, but like if we really played against like good decks, then it's like
sure
you need the removal in limited. You know what I mean? So it just didn't really work out. We were all pretty inexperienced with the format as well, so I mean that played some part of it. But I really don't feel like I felt like we did a decent enough job building our decks. Just was one of those things where got a little unlucky, got kind of a mediocre pool. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely rough for sure.
But I did like the games. I mean, like I played a lot of sweet games.
Yeah,
and like I thought the format was pretty awesome. So
I don't
have anything bad to say about that.
I would love to say like a lot of the games that I played the red green aggro deck, and like the games were it definitely felt like close in a lot of ways, which was good. And like even though like we ended up losing more than winning, it definitely was still fun to play. So I think overall the limited format is still really good.
I definitely like felt like, and maybe it was just the deck I was playing. I played the blue green deck, and I felt like I always had decisions to make, whether it was embalming a creature out of my graveyard or like casting not a flashback, but you know what I mean, an aftermath spell, or like holding up like a counter spell, or cycling or whatever. Like it was just a lot of decisions that went into almost every turn. So I thought like from that perspective it was really cool.
Yeah.
So Dave, you played the modern IQ, and obviously didn't have very much success. But at least what did you play?
I played Grixis Shadow.
Very very popular deck.
Yeah, I mean,
Picking up steam.
I played that at the last IQ that I played in at Comic Town and did pretty well with it. Just lost in top 4, but deck felt really powerful. And like I think the results that we've had since then, last couple of weeks have shown that I think it's now the number 1 deck on if you go to MTG Goldfish. So I mean, it's just like super consistent, super good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's a really good deck. Just ended up losing to Affinity in round 1, which I don't think is a terrible matchup, but for whatever reason, I always lose to it. Like, since I've been playing these like kind of new style of Death Shadow decks, like no matter what version, I just seem to always lose to Affinity. Thought I was good game 1 when I Inquisitioned him on turn 1 and took his Etch Champion, and then the rest of his hand was land, Springleaf Drum. And then next turn he plays a Cranial Plating, and then next turn he plays an Etch Champion.
Oh,
So
he just had
lost that game.
some pretty good draws there.
Pretty good draws. And then game 2, kept a 1-lander with multiple 1-mana plays, like multiple Fatal Push and I think I had a discard spell on a Bolt, and missed on a couple turns there, and that was enough that he was able to get out ahead of me. And then when I started to draw lands, I was a little bit too far behind and couldn't quite catch up. So it was a little bit of a risky keep, but like I think like had I drawn land, and even if I just missed on like the first turn and then I drew a land, I think it was fine. But it is what it is.
Yeah, just too many in a row there.
Yeah, it was on a mulligan, so I had a scry also. So. Beat Counters Company in round 2, and then lost to Black White Tokens, which, as it turns out, probably not a great matchup for Death Shadow.
Probably not.
Yeah, didn't feel good. So that was my tournament, and I went home and had plenty of time left in the day to do
at least your Sunday wasn't completely wasted or anything like that. So
nope.
Well, it's good. I'm sad you didn't do well, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
It was
next time.
It was definitely a contrast to like the last weekend that I got to play Magic. I played in 2 tournaments and I finished like 1st and like 3rd.
Yeah.
And then like this one, I was like want to combine like 1 match. So
them's the breaks.
It's the good and the bad. You gotta take it as it goes. I think that it's not like Grixis Shadow's a bad deck. You know what I mean? It just wasn't my tournament. So
right.
You're gonna have that sometimes.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some of these standard GPs. So the first one we're going to touch on is GP Manila. GP Manila. Manila.
The Thrilla in Manila. That was something else.
That was in fact
like
something
Manila,
else.
like a man flavored vanilla, or is it like a vanilla flavored man?
That's like, I think they just make folders there, right?
Why?
Why am I like this? I don't know. If you could answer that question, I'm sure my wife would like to know.
Is this where all the vanilla folders originate?
Yes,
in the world. Yeah, they all come from.
And they all taste like man flavored vanilla.
I don't
want to know what that tastes like.
I don't want any of that.
You're already imagining it. You're going
no
right now. You know it.
All right.
Somebody listening to this licked their arm and went, "I get it."
This GP had a total of 757 players. And it was won by Japanese pro Ryuichi Tamada, playing Blue White Flash.
Yeah, second top 8 in a row.
Yeah,
for him, he top 8 of the Japanese modern GP last week. So
yeah, that's awesome.
He wasn't the only person to go back to back this weekend.
He was not. We'll get into that later. But he defeated Esper Vehicles in the finals actually. So we don't see Temur Marvel until 3rd place. Overall, the top 8 of the actual GP was fairly diverse. We even see a red-green pummeler deck show up in 4th place, which is just wild, man. It's just wild. That deck has like not done anything and kind of fallen out of favor, and then like just here showing up in
this is like the Rocky Balboa of the Rocky films, where it's like
quite literally very very both of those things involve pummeling. So yes, yes. But I'm a big fan of this deck. I like to see that when this build does well, and Well, there's actually another one in the top 8 of Amsterdam as well. So it was kind of the weekend to play this deck.
Can we just go back to Tomato's list real quick?
Sure.
So, I don't know where Blue White Flash came from. Like,
I mean, probably at your end step, probably. Like, literally.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's when a lot of the creatures...
Yeah.
Because it's got Flash. And it just shows up.
No, what I was... when I was going through the lists here, and I don't know if this is just a regional thing, but there's a decent amount of glory bound initiates, and I don't really understand because we saw four. There was an Esper list at the modern GP.
Yes,
that played it.
I'm not going to speak on modern. I don't know why that card is just there in modern. Obviously, to power out their painful truths, we got that
right.
Check. As far as like it showing up here, it could be regional for Blue White Flash because I certainly didn't see the card in any sort of builds, within the U.S. tournaments or anything like that. Now for Esper vehicles, or even like some versions of Marty vehicles that they're trying to stretch into blue sometimes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that is a concession to not having red or not wanting to play Retro Motorist. So that's a lot of times where you see that slot in because it's just it's just easier to cast.
I also want to mention the sideboard plan. Your favorite card. He's playing 3 copies of Dusk Dawn, and Dawn does get back Glorybound Initiate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
see, I knew that card was good. Won a GP.
No,
it's not bad. Come on.
Yes, Dusk Dawn won a GP by itself.
Clearly, did all the heavy lifting.
Also, Vizier of Many Faces.
You know what? Dusk Dawn is as good as Vizier of Many Faces. It is as good as a clone. You did it.
So, like,
proud of you.
Are you just like cloning Ulamog or something? Like, I don't know what that's for.
I don't know how that works though, because like they still win that race for sure.
Yeah, I mean they get to attack first.
So, I don't know.
Hey, you get to block though.
So, you get to block. You did it.
I'm not saying it's good. I don't know what it's there for.
Maybe it's for like copying like Glorybringer, and then you can like attack and kill their Glorybringer.
For all I know, it's just a typo, sweet. And that's a Vizier of Remedies.
I don't know. That's any better.
We talked about this last week. There's like, you go to Japanese GP or I guess Asian GP in this case. You never know if it's a typo or not.
Yeah, exactly.
He played some wild cards, but I mean, Tomato's obviously a really good player, and his lists are usually on point. So definitely a deserving champion.
Yeah. We have kind of seen the rise of Spell Queller and Negate be very powerful, like now main deck cards, and I think like that's why things like Blue White Flash, things like Temur Energy to a lesser extent, we're seeing play and we're seeing success over the weekend, and being able to leverage those cards main deck to fight against the Marvel menace,
right?
As it were. But I mean, like we saw a Spell Queller show up in like vehicles as well, not just Esper vehicles, but I mean, like even some versions of Mardu. Yeah,
that's a little wild.
It is a little wild, but I think that people have kind of latched on to Spell Queller, and like, I mean, they were already trying to splash blue for Mardu vehicles was for sideboard cards for like Ceremonious Rejections and Metallic Rebukes. It's like, well, we're already trying to splash blue. Why don't we just splash Spell Queller?
Yeah. So I think like we should just like segue that into the Esper vehicles list that finished second. So
yeah,
I mean, it's basically just, I mean, we've seen lists like this before where it's just kind of like blue-white vehicles splashing for like Scrap Heap Scrounger, which this one is definitely doing. And then you look at the sideboard, and then I don't know what's going on anymore.
Fatal Push, Painful Truths, Kalitas.
2 Fatal Push, 1 Painful Truths, 1 Kalitas. That one seems real greedy. And then a Sorin Grim Nemesis. So they're definitely bringing in. This is
and a Dustodon.
This is Ki Wentao was the person's name, but this one's just kind of all over the place. But I mean, I do think the strategy is good. I just don't know about this like mishmash of cards in the sideboard, but obviously worked out well in this case.
In a lot of ways, this does feel like the Blue White Flash deck. In all honesty.
Yeah, it has a lot of the same elements.
Yeah, a lot of the same cards, a lot of the same elements. They do like reach into that third color for some variety, and they are more they have vehicles, they have those kind of cards, but they do share a lot of the similarities that you would see beforehand. And again, we see Metallic Rebuke as being like a main deck counterspell that they can use pretty effectively.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a more aggressive version of the Flash deck. Obviously you're playing at more of a sorcery speed, with the Scrap Heap Scroungers and the vehicles and stuff like that. But I mean, I think both of those are reasonable. I'll be honest, I was pretty surprised to see Blue White Flash to take down the tournament. Obviously, Tomato's a great player, but didn't expect to see that deck make a comeback.
Mm-hmm.
We saw like Green Black had a pretty good weekend, and that was a deck that I could see having a better week. Like in theory, just being better. You know what I mean? But I don't know. But definitely, like the results were definitely regional. Like we saw like a lot of these style of decks in Manila, and then we saw like a different kind of metagame in Europe. So
I will say Glorybound Initiate makes a lot more sense to me in this vehicles deck because it can crew Heart of Kieran when it's not like okay, I shouldn't attack with it on the ground right now. Okay, let's fly. Yeah. But I guess the card's just incredible. We're messing up.
Or it's just good enough. Like,
it is just good enough.
It's either just like just way underplayed. Maybe this is the start of people just realizing that it's really good.
Yeah.
So.
Now, if you did want to see this, the blue splash for Mardu vehicles, the 5th place list, it does actually have the blue splash, and we do see the spell color there. So that's sort of the if you still want to play red cards, there's sort of your outlet for that. And then we do have the 8th place list is just Mardu vehicles, but just as vehicles on the list we're looking at. But
it's just vehicles. Okay?
It's just Mardu vehicles. We do see actually a mono black zombies list here in 6th place, and that list, those sort of decks have been falling out of favor. I think a little bit.
Did we ever come up with a consensus? What was better, mono black or white black?
I mean, they both seem fairly poorly positioned going forward, but mono black is probably. I will concede my point and say mono black is probably where you would want to do what you want to do if you want to play zombies.
I don't play the deck anymore.
Yeah, so, I just don't think it's like where you want to be.
I think like as expected, like we talked about after the Pro Tour, I think that was a deck that was not powerful enough on its own to kind of stand up to being in in people's crosshairs.
Yeah, and it can't stand up to the spotlight.
Yeah. Whereas a deck like Marvel, for example, is just so powerful that it's like it doesn't matter sometimes if people are bringing in hate cards because it's just going to overpower them anyway.
And to that point, the top 32 from Manila I want to throw out here was 10 Aetherworks, 4 vehicles, Mardu vehicles specifically, 3 black green aggro, 3 Jeskai vehicles, which is the blue splash, 2 red green energy, 2 is that white blue flash, and then 1s of everything else: Pummeler, Constrictor, Blood Control, Delirium. So definitely out of the 3 GPs, the least it was the least dominating turn for Marvel, but still putting up the numbers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's still going to show up as one of the most played decks in the format.
The most plays deck. Mm-hmm.
The most plays.
It's got all the insane plays.
I mean, it does have the most insane play.
I'm doing like the Wizard of Oz, like Ozzy Guillen backflips and clearly first base.
I'm glad you're picking up what I'm putting down. But it was kind of refreshing to see that Manila there was definitely like a lot of people trying to play a little bit differently. So, but in the end, I do think that. Marvel ain't going anywhere. It's still going to be the big baddie, regardless of like what won or anything. Like you're not going to like tune your deck to beat like Blue Eyed Flash. Like, yeah, you're still going to have your Marvel cards, and that's kind of like this isn't going to be a big shift. I don't think, in my opinion.
That might be a reason like to play Blue Eyed Flash though, because like nobody's aiming for it. Yeah, I think even after this weekend, I mean, I think a lot of people will look at it and say, well, he's a really good player, and maybe somebody who's not, top 8 Pro Tours is doing as well with it. But I don't know. Maybe the power level's there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, people like playing these kind of flash decks in general. People like.
I mean, we saw that when that was like the best deck in the format.
Yeah.
It seems like so long ago now.
Yeah, Restoration Angel, heck of a card.
Not even that long ago. I'm just talking about like when we had
with Smogus Copter and all that jazz. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Also a bit of a different format.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Well, when you have a band card in your deck, it makes it really powerful.
2 band cards.
Two.
Yeah, Reflector
Excuse
Mage
me.
too.
2 band cards. Yeah.
Man, how good would Reflector Mage be right now?
Not good enough.
You resolved Ulamog? At least I could deal with it.
Yeah, you're right. But remember, it's banned.
It is banned.
Marvel isn't.
Yeah.
Hashtag standard.
This is the world we live in.
Yeah.
You wanted us to be more positive, and I was trying to get there, but then you did it.
You invoked the wrath. Was there anything else here in Manila that you guys want to talk about? All right. Let's move on. GP Amsterdam.
We should have like flight sound effects for this. Like, let's move on.
So GP Amsterdam had a total of 1,170 players. So,
That's respectable.
that is respectable for first air GP. It was taken down by Platinum Pro Lucas Blohem with Black Green Constrictor Stress /
Yeah.
Energy.
A lot of these, well, it's not really energy
I mean,
at all.
This is Delirium, right?
It's
Because it has
So
flares, I guess.
Interesting.
it's more delirium than anything else,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a combination of the like constrictor +1 counters and delirium.
Yes, I see now.
basically. Yeah, I mean, like the only energy. That's not even playing. I thought it was playing the Cub, but it's not.
No, it's not. No, this is just straight up like a Black Green Snake, pretty much.
It's 4 Dissenters Deliverance in the main.
Jeez.
Oh yeah. So this was, I believe, Sean McLaren was the first one to have this style of list with like the main deck like 4 Dissenters Deliverance, and he top 8'd GP Montreal a couple weeks ago. What last round of standard GPs there. So this is like very close to his list, and actually like a lot of pros ended up playing this style and doing pretty well with it this weekend. So if you haven't seen it, we have 4 of each of Walking Ballista, Grimflayer, Winding Constrictor, and Tireless Tracker in the main deck, and then he's running 2 Rish Cars and 2 Verter Gearhulks. And your spell suite is 1 Liliana Last Hope, 3 Nissa Voice of Zendikar, 4 Fatal Push, 4 Traverse, 4 Dissenter's Deliverance, 2 Never to Return, and it runs 22 lands. I guess like surprisingly absent for a quote-unquote Delirium deck would be Ishkana, which is only 1 in the sideboard. But it's a nice tutor target.
Yeah, I don't think like this is your pure like slow Delirium deck. This is definitely focused on like the counters Constrictor play.
It's definitely, it's a Delirium deck that can get a little bit more aggressive, which I think is important in this format.
It kind of has a hard time hitting Deliriums in
Yeah.
some draws. Like, it has 3 Evolving Wilds, and it has Traverses and Never to Returns as its sorceries, but it really has low numbers on a lot of things it needs to hit Delirium. Obviously, Walking Ballista is really the key, because you get an artifact and a creature in one.
Right.
But, like, it seems like it could be a little tough.
I think like if you get an early Grimflayer, you can turn it on. If you get in a hit with that. But the thing is, like, it doesn't really need.
No,
like,
it just seems like it's added.
It is a nice, like, it definitely gives it some late game power by like having Traverse, being able to like get a Verter's Gearhulk or whatever in the late game. And then we even saw some versions. I believe Sam Pardee was playing like 1 Kalidas in the main deck that he could tutor for, which is pretty good in certain matchups. So, I mean, we've seen like different styles of Black Green. Like we said, like there were the slow Delirium, and we also had the energy ones. And there were some energy ones that did well in Manila, but I think this is the version that you want to play if you want to play like a Black Green deck going forward. I think it's put up a lot of results the last couple of GPs, and I think it has a reasonable game against Marvel. So I mean, Lucas Blohan is just a pretty insane player too, so that always helps.
Yeah. Do you want to look at the blue-red control deck that he beat?
Sure.
So, because we should at least talk about like one of them. So this is second place was Benjamin Luft, and this is 4 Torrential Gearhulk and a Sphinx of the Final Word, and then 30 spells plus lands. So it's kind of like this is like a much more like old school style of control deck here, just like tons of spells. Has a couple interesting ones, like a main deck Summary Dismissal, which seems perfectly acceptable for this current metagame.
Yes, very much so.
And it's like playing like 3 Disallow and then a Void Shatter, because, like, again, the exile effect could actually be somewhat helpful. I do think it's weird, though, that, like, you'd play the Void Shatter when people are, like, loading up on, like, Ceremonious Rejections. Like, there was a time where people were all up on Void Shatter, and then, like, you had to be careful.
Yeah, but, like, you're not boarding it in against this deck, though.
Sure,
That's
but
like there's like one Void Shatter. People aren't gonna be like, man, I'm really gonna get him. I'm gonna bring in like 2.
we're a week away from main deck Ceremonious Rejection. I don't think you understand. So... No, it's pretty sweet, and it has the cool sideboard plan of like Thing in the Ice, and it has Kefnet and Dragon Master Outcast, so it can get. I wouldn't call it aggressive, but it can certainly like sort of like surprise you with its threats.
Yeah, get creature focused or have a creature bend to it, I should say.
Yeah, from what I've seen, and this is the list that I was interested in playing for a little while, but overall, I don't think it's going to be something that I'm going to look into, just because I just don't like sitting there for long periods of time and not doing anything.
You want to finish your matches and
Yeah, I mean, I guess I did play like the Temur version of this, which isn't like that much better, but I guess like Thing in the Ice is a key card for this deck because it really keeps people honest. Like post board, it's like, do you leave in your fatal pushes because it's pretty bad? I mean, it doesn't actually hit anything in the main deck, but do you anticipate that? They might have Thing in the Ice. Like, do you like trim on fatal pushes but not fully cut them? I think it can really like create this guessing game, which is definitely advantages the blue red deck and sideboarding. So, I think Martin Yuza had a tweet something to the effect of like he went X and O or X and 1 against Marvel on the weekend. And he said, the way to beat Marvel is just counter everything they do.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is, I guess, is a good plan. Counter all their stuff. Yeah, that's reasonable. I do think like if there is like one deck that is the best at beating Marvel, it's probably this style. Mm-hmm. But I do think it suffers against some of the other, I guess, creature-based decks in the format, like vehicles and like I guess now these new Black-Green Delirium lists. I will say, like, if you want to see a really, really good match, go back and watch just the finals of GP Amsterdam because I didn't watch a whole lot of coverage, but I wanted to see the finals of this, and it was definitely worth it. It was a really good 3-game set.
Nice,
like the best like camera match I've seen in a long time. So, it was pretty sweet.
And so yeah, we have. This is the more diverse top 8 overall. Another copy of Red Green Pummeler. Another copy of the Esper Vehicles deck.
Yeah. We see 2 green black energy lists.
Yes, actual energies.
Which are a little bit different than the Delirium list.
And overall, if you want to know the overall breakdown, for Amsterdam, you had 16 Aetherworks decks in the top 32. And then 3 black green energy, 3 blue-red control, 2 Delirium, 2 vehicles, and then ones of Temur Energy, Esper Vehicles, Pummeler, Constrictor, Mono Black Zombies, and Jeskai Vehicles. So it's really mirroring the other ones, but again, if you look even here, like we have a really diverse top 8, and I know Dave's going to be mad at me, but I can't help it. But then 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th are all...
Yeah.
sorry, 13th is Energy. My bad. Oh, God, you saved it.
No, yeah, I really think it's... I mean, and we talk about it sometimes on here where it's... You can look at the top 8 lists and be like, wow, look how diverse this is. But like when you really pull back a little bit and look at the whole picture, it's just like, well, but when you get half the top 32
why
is actually
Why does Wotc keep doing this and pretending like people are dumb? Like they did this last time too when you had the tower deck. They're like, look, Temur Tower, diversity. And it's like, no, guy, like this, you don't follow the Rooney rule in football and then like do a little dance in the end zone. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I just think it's. I mean, the difference between top 8 and like finishing, 12th, 16th, or whatever. It's really we're talking about one match,
right?
Like maybe in one game you got stuck on 2 lands, and like that's the difference between, Pummeler making the top 8 versus another Temur Marvel. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you have to look at the big picture. I mean, the numbers will bear it out over time. You look at the top 30. Look at the top 32s versus the top 8s, and you go from being like, wow, what a diverse top 8 to, wow, half the decks were Temur Marvel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's frightening.
I will say, like, the format seems to be a lot more diverse than I think we thought it was going to be, and there are more decks that you could play. Just know that Temur Marvel is definitely the best deck on the format, and you need to have a plan for it. If your plan is to ignore it, then you're probably going to lose. So it doesn't have to be a great plan; just have a plan. But I mean, from what I could see, I mean, the games were fairly interactive. I mean, of course, like Marvel always has that chance of just casting Marvel in turn 4 and then hitting into Ulamog. But in practice, that doesn't actually happen all that much. But unfortunately, the thing about that deck is it. Even if you miss on the first one, like if you get there on the next turn, it's like, okay, well, that's still game over.
Yeah, you have so many ways of like hitting something that nets you more energy and like keeping the chain going.
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, that's the thing that makes it great. I mean, if the deck was just all in, I'm going to spin Marvel once, and then if I hit, then I win. If not, then I lose. Then it wouldn't be that great. But the fact that it can continuously keep coming back, and it still has this robust like mid-range plan is what makes it.
Yeah, it's more of like a stainless steel cannon, if you will, as opposed to the glass.
Can have withstand multiple firings. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
Is this like like an anniversary edition, like special chrome plated
Chrome-
cannon?
It's like if you gave the mage plate armor and did not affect its ability to cast spells.
yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, anything else that we really have from GP Amsterdam as far as enlightening pieces of information or exposition?
Not really. You get the same kind of smattering of decks. I think you had a few more of the blue-red control lists showing up in Amsterdam than we saw in Manila or even in Omaha. So,
All right. Let's go to Grand Prix Omaha.
Omaha!
No, he's not around anymore.
Is he dead?
Football dead.
All right.
I think they buried him out the 40-yard line, Lucas Oil Stadium.
Football dead.
They just buried his cleats.
It's like every time I see Brett Favre on TV, I was like, man, it's a ghost. Real life ghost.
That's a football ghost.
Is
Football ghost.
that what sports people do for you? They just, once they retire, they're actually dead.
They move on.
They're actually dead.
Yeah,
now, what about like when Brett Favre came back from retirement? It's like, zombie!
He literally came back from the dead.
He's a zombie.
It was incredible.
Middle of the field, you just see a hand come out of the grass.
It was really
Catches the
it was
football?
really depressing.
It came out of the frozen tundra.
He had all those weeks where they weren't sure if he was going to retire or not. It was like on like life support. It was terrifying. It was like beep, beep. Like looks like he'll retire. Me.
All right. Enough about talking about football dead.
I'll write that movie.
It had a total of 831 players, which is pretty small. Pretty small for a North American GP. In all honesty,
Yeah, and before we make excuses because it's Omaha, Mike, how many players did the last GP Omaha?
It was
2 years ago.
It was almost 1,200.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
and that was a modern GP.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago, modern wasn't what it is now.
No,
Not at all.
I just like the fact that our winner of this tournament won a bigger modern open last weekend.
Correct. The winner was Brad Nelson playing Temur Marvel. He defeated Sam Pardee in the finals playing Black Green Delirium. And this is the similar Sean McLaren list. Is that correct? Or is this? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And Pardee came up just short. He beat 2 Marvel lists on his way to the finals, and then finally succumbed to
Big Squiggly.
Brad Nelson's
To Big Squiggly. I understand.
Big Squiggly.
That's Ulamog, not Brad Nelson. Brad Nelson is not Big Squiggly. I just want to make that clear.
I wasn't thinking that, but now that you are, kind of thinking it.
This is probably like the worst looking top 8, to be honest.
As far as,
what
if
do
you were
mean?
expecting format
Temur Marvel, Black
diversity.
Green Delirium, Temur Marvel, Temur Marvel, Temur Marvel, Temur Marvel, Temur Marvel, Temur Energy.
Yeah, this is
Sorry, try saying Teamer that many times in a row, and your mouth starts to go memer.
6 Marvel decks here in the top 8, and with a Black Green Delirium, Sam Party's deck, as well as a Team Energy deck piloted by Will Craddock. And I'm a big fan of the Team Energy decks. They overall didn't like really do have impressive numbers over the weekend, but I think it's a lot of fun. It's a really fun deck to play, and you get to play Glorybringer. And I like playing big dragons. I can't help it, man.
Yeah,
I just the big hasty dragons.
that's a deck that I had high hopes for. I think like we talked about it.
I think you can play it. I think it's
You know,
fine.
oh yeah, I think it's a fine deck. But I think maybe its matchup against Marvel was a little overstated.
I think it has a good matchup against Marvel. In all honesty, still, I think it has a worse matchup against Green Black. I think like that's where you run into issues when their creatures, you know, with especially with Snake and with all the +1/+1 counters, like your removal just doesn't match up very well. You have Harness Lightnings and all that jazz. And, like you could chump, but eventually like they're just going to get you. And I think that's where the actual difficulty comes in.
Yeah,
and maybe the Team Marvel matchup isn't like as concrete or whatever. But
yeah.
I played a deck. I didn't play this exact version. This is the no, this is actually close to what I played because this is the one that has other Deep Fiends.
Yeah,
still,
it has
right?
other Deep Fiends.
So I did play a list that actually was pretty close to this, and I didn't play against Marvel against it, but it felt like you still had a lot of game against a lot of different kind of decks. But I never played against a Green Black deck, so that would be its real testing point. I think that would be the hardest matchup that you'd have. So, if Green Black Energy / Delirium does get more popular, then you might run into issues with these Snake decks, or at the very least, like you definitely because these decks really rely on like Magma Spray as being sort of the Magma Spray and Harness Lightning being the removal spells of choice, and like with something like a 5/5, you're like, well, or an X5, it gets pretty difficult to remove them.
Yeah, I do think the black green deck has solidified itself as the second best deck in the format, and definitely like a solid choice.
Yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about Brad Nelson's list here because I don't think it was any fluke that like he was the Marvel deck that came out on top here. You look in the list and like the creature suite is just 4 Rogue Refiner, 4 Ulamog. That's it.
Yeah.
So no.
It's pretty crazy.
What's the card I'm thinking of?
No
Whirler Virtuoso.
Yeah, no Virtuosos.
Which after the Pro Tour, or even like after the round of GPs, after people were saying, man, like World of Virtuoso is so good, it wins so many games that otherwise, if you don't hit Marvel, you can just you dump all your energy and make a bunch of tokens. He's just like, nope, don't want any of them, 0. Which is like really surprising. Like it seems counterintuitive to what we kind of thought we knew prior to, but he's obviously going with a more spell heavy list here. Now he has the two main deck Chandra Flame Callers, which we kind of saw a little bit at the Pro Tour as well. Still very good in the format. I think like the big thing is 3 main deck Dissenter's Deliverance. So I mean he's not messing around. Definitely having those for the mirror is pretty nice. And then the other thing that kind of sets it apart is we kind of talked about at the Pro Tour. Yu Watanabe had the Shrine of the Forsaken Gods so that he could cast his Ulamog. This is like going to the next level on that. So he has 2 shrines in the main deck, 1 on the board, and then he's also playing 2 Ulvenwald Hydra on the board to search up your shrines. So
yeah. I mean, across the 75, he has 3 shrines for the 3 Eldrazi Titans. This makes flavor sense.
Well, can't play Emrakul though. So.
Oh, I'm not saying you're playing Emrakul.
It's a shrine.
You still
it's
worship
just,
it.
it's just like just remembering.
Yeah.
Every time I look at the moon, I go, "I miss you, Emmy," but not for real. Stay banned.
Please, no, you're not welcome in this format anymore. Go home.
I hope her and Steve are real happy.
I'm sure they are.
In the
moon. To be honest, like she took a long vacation from work, and like they've really found it again. They found that spark. Not literally, not like a planeswalker spark.
I have to admit, Emrakul probably gives a killer back rub, and I mean killer. Like you're dead.
You probably
but so many tentacles.
There's no way that could be tender.
Oh man.
But Ulvenwald Hydra was unexpected to say the least.
Yeah, but I think that I mean
it makes perfect sense.
It's unexpected, not coming from like a Sam Black deck of some persuasion. But I think that's really cool. Like that's a really cool way to combat the like blue-red control decks, right? Like you're bringing an additional threat, and your additional threat also can find you in a land for your Ulamog's that you may or may want to cast.
I mean, against blue-red control, you can go get like the 1 Lumbering Falls.
Yeah,
and it's just like, all right, deal with that.
Yeah, I think
it's hard for them to deal
I think
with.
it's pretty cool. It kind of plays into the way that you want to play against control, and like you probably are still you're taking out maybe some number of Ullamogs even for them, which is probably still still fine. And you also because you also have like tireless trackers to bring in against them, and like we're trying to say like blue red really is sort of the best deck against it. And I'm not saying like those cards completely shift that matchup, but they do certainly help. In my opinion.
Now, while we're here, I also want to shout out to Paul Dean, who's this is second consecutive standard GP top 8.
I thought she wasn't allowed to cook on TV anymore.
No, not Paula.
Oh,
Paul, the Magic player, the really good Magic player, Paul Dean.
Okay, cool.
He's basically
you can cook on TV.
Yeah, he's basically playing the same list as Brad Nelson. I think the only difference here is instead of 2 Chandra's main, he's playing 1 and then 1 Ulvwald Hydra, and then the sideboard he's playing the other Chandra in the board, instead of the second one. So like that's literally the only difference, I'm pretty sure here. But yeah, so I think him and Brad had worked together. Obviously, that's some pretty good results. Unfortunately for them, they had to play each other in the top 4.
Awkward.
But yeah, I think they really broke it as far as being able to innovate and get an edge in the mirror. I know at the last GP, Paul Dean had an excellent record in the mirror, which you kind of have to if you're in a top 8, I think. But in any case, like he seemed to have like a good plan. So I think they just went one step further with the Hydras for this tournament, and
I think it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool that that card gets to like see play before it goes away.
I mean, if you look at one of the part of the board plan for the black-green decks is to bring in Dispossess. So you're like, okay, you dispossess all my marvels, but I have these Hydras that are going to go get my Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, and I'm going to cast my Ulamog like 2 turns earlier than I otherwise would have. It's just like, okay.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's a way that like you can fight against some of the hate that people are doing. So, I mean, it's... I do like this is the part of standard that I love. It's just unfortunate that like
it's in this deck. Hey, look, the rich got richer,
deck.
guys.
But these like little pieces of technology that kind of come in.
No, it's definitely sweet, and like it's well deserved. And like I said, like the back-to-back, like winning in 2 different formats, like
that's unreal.
It's so good. Like he's a good Magic player. Good job, Big Squiggly, Brad Nelson. You did this.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I hope he lets his beard get out. All big, like it's like so looks like a woolly willy and called it Big Squiggly.
I think there is something to be said. I mean, it's been said before that Brad's one of, if not the best standard player, and I think he's just just proving that.
I think he's just like he found where he wants to be within the standard format, and like once he finds that deck that he wants to play, like he just. That's what he does. Like he just plays it and wins with it.
It's very rare that he is off in his assessment of a format.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So I mean, it's super impressive.
Yeah. Anything else from GP Omaha that we wanted to touch on? I feel like we talked about most of the big decks that we saw over the weekend across all the GPs, which is kind of nice. We got to highlight different ones on different GPs, and overall, like Marvel is definitely the best deck. When we look at numbers,
I don't think it's debatable.
Yeah, like we look at numbers and everything like that. Like it just like is. But there are other decks that you can certainly play. But if you want to have the best shot of taking down, you're the next large tournament you're going to be at, then you're definitely going to want to be sleeving up some Ulamogs. But is there anything else, from the bigger picture that we really want to take a look at? I mean, that's kind of what we're going to talk about as far as, standard is after these 3 GPs. Is kind of where we expected things to be, as far as, like, numbers-wise and everything like that, of, top 32s and things.
I think it was, if you look at, like, the makeup of the top 8s, I think it was surprising to see so much diversity, at least in 2 out of the 3 GPs. Mm-hmm. But, like, as we said earlier, I mean, if you pull the lens back a little bit and look at the overall like top 32 picture, Marvel was like 50% of, or was it 40 something, high 40%?
It's like 43%, I think.
Okay, of the overall like top 32 metagame. So yes. I mean, I even with that being said, I think like the weekend showed that there is a little bit more diversity in standard than maybe we thought, and Marvel is being the best deck. I don't think it's dominating. I don't know. Like maybe.
What percentage of the metagame would it require for you to say dominate?
Well, I guess maybe it's just the games that are played. Like maybe it just doesn't feel like
it's literally irrelevant though.
Yeah.
That's
true. Like maybe it's just my feeling.
For as many games as you see, like I'm not going to sit here and just like take a large number 2 on standard right now. Like I told you I'm not playing it. I'm not going to play it. I'm still not calling for a banning though. I do think this increases the likelihood that they should, but I won't call for it. I will say though that like. You can maybe some of the games are good, but we just talked about the play style. Once a Marvel's in play, like they are either spinning it every turn, or they're spinning to get more. Like they're hitting what they want to, or they're going to keep spinning over and over again. And the other player is pretending to play Magic at that point. There's very little they can do to actually interrupt it meaningfully, unless they hit one of their like the Center's Deliverance can do it, sure, but like I don't know when you have other decks in the top 8 playing upwards of 4 copies of Shatter in their deck or main deck copies of Negate, this is warped and dominating. Like there's no other way you can assess it. Whether or not games look good, like the decks are literally built because they can't survive without these cards.
No, you're probably right. I'm just saying like the gameplay. Like I guess from what I saw, if you take Marvel out of the equation, like standard actually seems pretty sweet gameplay wise, but then like Marvel is just so.
I can't say how irrelevant the thing you just said is. I'm sorry, Dave, but just like if you took that card away, then the standard I'm seeing looks really cool. But it's there, and it's 43% of the metagame. So who gives a? Sorry, Morgan. Sorry.
Don't make me do that. Who gives a fudge?
I almost didn't say fudge. I almost pulled a Martin Mueller on here.
Yeah.
That's all right. I've done that before, and.
It'll happen again.
I get what you're saying. Like I've played games in this format that have felt good too. Like there's a lot of cards in this format that are fun to play. I still think that energy as a mechanic is enjoyable as a mechanic.
Yeah.
And like I'm glad to see like the Temur energy deck. I'm glad that you have a couple other things, but at the end of the day, it feels like every other deck is playing a standard deck with cool cards, and one of the decks gets to play standard, and modern. Sometimes it gets to play show and tell, and that's the honest truth. Like sometimes it gets to just put an Ulamog into play. And exile to your opponent's permanents, like up turn 4/5, turn 4/5/6, and like your opponent just stops playing Magic. Like that's it. And
that's fair.
If you anywhere close to like if 30% of your games in a GP that you paid money to go into literally is you don't get to play Magic because your opponent hit Ulamog off of Marvel, then I can't imagine you're really enjoying yourself.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Marvel's definitely the best deck, but it feels beatable.
43%.
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of people that played it, and obviously
that's of the top 32 metagame. That's not the overall tournament. That's the decks that did well.
Right, but if you looked at the overall tournament as well, which we don't have the numbers
this
for,
is
but I think you could imagine
like,
though, you could imagine that a high percentage of people.
I can imagine a lot of things, but I'm looking at a number, a hard statistic.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying
you're wrong.
Being the best deck, this deck seems more beatable than Saheeli felt. As like being the best deck in the format.
Maybe I guess as a consistently sure, but like I don't.
So I'm not saying it's great. I mean, you don't want a deck being 40% of the format.
I don't know how we're making a good point out of this. Like I don't know. Like it's like you don't get stabbed as often. You still get stabbed sometimes a lot more aggressively than you would have been stabbed otherwise. But really, you're not getting stabbed as much.
I'm just making an observation about the format.
But you're still getting stabbed.
Still getting stabbed.
It's weird.
Again, I didn't say it was the best format. I'm just saying it's better than I thought.
All right. Well, I don't know. 0 out of 0 is still 0. So I am not any higher or honestly lower on standard. Your question here, Dave, asks like our expectations. This is what I expected. I expect other decks can win. Like, I am also I guess somewhat surprised by the diversity of 2 of the top 8s, but at the same time like I'm also surprised by the 6 Marvel top 8 as well. Like that is also so if you average those out, it still seems to be about 2 or 3 per top 8, which
Okay.
is where we're at. So I'm still not going to play it. If you enjoy it, please do. If you think that I'm ranting too much, it's fine. I'm not playing your format anymore. I don't care. I have joined Morgan on this weird bandwagon.
So, Mike, let me ask you this. So, you do have to play Standard this month.
Yep.
Because we are going to the
Probably
Star City
playing Marvel at
Invitational.
this point.
Really? Okay, I was going to ask you, are you on the Marvel or
I'm not
Marvel?
stupid. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, and I don't mean that like because I know you guys here might not play Marvel. I know you hated it actively.
I did not enjoy it. I mean, like, so you made the point that
You just totally went ladies' man on that. I did not enjoy it.
did not enjoy it. That's great.
That's good.
Tim Meadows, thank you for that. But like you talked about how energy is a fun mechanic, and like I do agree with that because like I really enjoy playing like the Temur energy deck. It was fun to play in the PBT that I played it in, and I just cannot stand to play Marvel. Like the games were like the most boring snooze fest, like especially mirror matches. Mirror matches were just miserable. Like it is literally. I hope I win the die roll and can play Marvel first and Ulamog, my opponent first.
But Dave said that those matches were kind of fun.
Maybe they are. I guess
You said that the games of Magic in this format were interesting, and like
Those-
There were a
those
lot
ones-
of games that
those
said
are-
that didn't involve Marvel.
yeah. When there's two Marvels on that you have to deal with, well then
yeah. So.
I do think like that was the case, but I think the format has evolved a little bit. I mean, you see the Dissenters of Deliverance's main deck and stuff. So, I mean, if your opponent resolves a Marvel and then miraculously doesn't hit Ulamog, which seems like that never happens, but if they don't hit Ulamog, then you're able to like kill it. Like maybe there's a game. Again, it's like it's bad to be like, man, I really hope he doesn't hit on his first one. Then I might be able to play.
I played 4 Dissenters Deliverance and a bunch of negates on my main deck and still lost to Marvel. I'm glad I'm playing Standard. Like, I didn't skew almost 10 slots on my deck towards beating a single deck in the format and still can't consistently beat it. Dave was right. Best Standard ever.
I don't think
Now you just keep putting words in my
that's
mouth.
definitely not the
Oh,
argument.
no.
that-
I'm obviously.
that.
Oh, are you not familiar
It keeps going like.
Are you not familiar with this fighting style? You better get on my level, bud.
I think that the standard format isn't fun, and I don't know what what would make it right. I'm kind of with Mike. It would suck if standard got another banning. Like,
We just need the rotation to come faster.
yeah, that's pretty much
basically
it.
That's the only thing. That's
Just make it. Just end our suffering. Get Battle for Zendikar out of the format. Stop it. Get some help.
It's a garbage. It's a garbage set.
That's so good. Stop it.
It's a garbage set. It's a garbage. I don't think there's been a bigger drop off from like original Zendikar to like the follow up just being
Yeah, I'm trying to think
so
of,
much worse.
Like, I enjoyed both Mirrodins. The first Mirrodin was obviously OP, but I enjoyed both Mirrodins. I enjoyed both Ravnikas.
Ravnica was great. Yeah, Innistrad was
Both
fine.
Innistrads were wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm still sad the newest one has been overshadowed, but I really liked it. I know. Every time I make that pun, I know.
So the only downside I think of Shadows over Innistrad block is like it had Eldrazi in it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true. You're not
Eldrazi.
wrong.
That's the common factor. Eldrazi ruined everything.
I assume I'll only be this disappointed again whenever we inevitably go back to Theros for some stupid reason.
Yeah, I agree. But hey, you know what? Elspeth?
Yes.
That might redeem it.
Zombie Ninja Elspeth will make me very excited, let me tell you.
I'm just saying, our current black
Here's
white
the thing.
planeswalker's in a stone.
Here's the
in a
thing,
stone
though.
slab,
We're going to go
so-
back to Theros, and like Wizard's going to be like, people have claimed to see a masked woman running around the plane. Who could it be? It's Elspeth. Name that Pokemon. It's Elspeth.
Just have the outline of Elspeth, like holding up like the
Nah, man, no.
God send or whatever.
It's like actual wanted posters,
They're
like
gonna-
just nailed up to like random trees.
They're gonna to do the trick. They're gonna like have a what's the Pokemon that like it looks like a Voltorb or an Electrode.
Oh, isn't it like Clefairy from the top?
It's a Clefairy from Aerial View. That old chestnut of a meme.
Okay, we've seen this woman wearing a mask. She's been asking, "Where is my cloak?"
Where's that cat that stole my cloak?
I want to make it into like an Alvin Schwartz style scary story to tell in the dark. Like, where is my cloak?
Anyway,
But the sound was closer now. Sorry, I went off on a weird tangent there, but
a little bit.
where in
Okay.
the
As
plane
you usually do.
is Elspeth Tyrell? I was trying to remember her last name. Couldn't remember. Standard is that bad to answer the last question for you.
Yes, I agree. Standard's pretty bad.
It doesn't. what Marvel can do when Marvel isn't doing Ulamog. Like I still think the card is stupid. I still think it's weird to like pick up 6 random cards on top of your library and just be like, ooh, let's play this one.
Yeah, we just needed to not have a card that does that
Well-
in the format for a while.
Bolus does it technically,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, just keep making them. I guess.
but like
Variants. Yeah,
but beyond like the craziness of a card, like it shouldn't have been designed the way it is. It shouldn't have printed the way that it is. I when you have every other deck in standard doing standard power level things and powering down, to be quite honest, like we said, like going into Amonkhet, and even like we look at I don't know. I was gonna say Aether Revolt, but that's not the plane. Kaladesh. Like, yeah, there's some powerful things in it, but it still feels like a power down, which is awkward for an energy based set. It's just weird to have like a deck that can just do this. I'm gonna keep repeating the same thing, so I'll stop. But like at some point, like it just doesn't feel right when like 40% of the metagame is like playing modern sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see what happens. I mean, we do have the BNR announcement next week on Wednesday, so we'll see what happens with that. If anything,
I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
if anything, yeah. I mean, we'd all be pretty surprised here on the podcast. To be perfectly honest, that's kind of where we're at. Is it out of the question? Nothing's ever out of the question. They could, the Friday announced that they decided to ban something after the Wednesday. They decided not to.
Yeah.
So like
Anything can happen.
yeah, literal anything. So we will
Sell and hold all of your Marvels.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and we'll kind of see where everything lands as far as that goes. And I think we're still recording Tuesday next week, as far as I know. So
No, I don't care. If they ruin our content again, we'll do nothing.
we'll do nothing to stop it. But hey, we'll just focus on modern next week, so we won't even talk about standard. It's perfect.
Unless it's a banning.
But we wouldn't know.
Hey, I want to mention before we move out of this, because I know you're going to go to the wrap up here and you're going to talk about BCW supplies and you're going to do all those cool things.
Yeah.
I want to make mention. We had a pretty good comment from a listener, and I want to make mention of it just because last week I talked about how they could have like the sideboard cards in standard. Something we didn't mention, but they made mention of was that this is part of the issue is the lack of core set.
Yeah.
And they mentioned a couple cards, including like one we've talked about before, which is Tormod's Crypt, which of course can't show up in any plane except for Dominaria, so they get themselves stuck in actual like
Just flavor
like
weirdness.
flavor holes. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. Now, granted, they could just like reprint it and make it someone else's script.
I know what you're trying to say, but I would dive into a flavor hole. Let's be fair.
What flavor?
Manila.
Well played.
That's the payoff.
Oh
right
man,
there.
that's good. Oh, that was good
So
stuff.
is that like a Boston cream donut? It has like a flavor hole on the side. That's where they put the cream in.
That's where the Manila is. But like I want to make mention, like yes, that is a problem they have not been able to solve yet. Is that the hole that the core set has created, where you could just put your sort of catch-all cards, where it's like what we need to have at least even like underpowered like stuff that you don't have room for in these sets now. So. To be fair, knowing Wizards, they may walk back on having like we may be back to what we were at. Like okay, well, here's M17. It's like wait, what? It's like I know you didn't get it. I know it's 2018, but we're just pretending like it happened. So, but I just want to thank you for the comment. That was a good point.
Yeah. So, before we head into the wrap up, of course, as Mike alluded to, definitely want to give a shout out to BCW Supplies, one of our lovely sponsors. They are actually bringing the Metagame Gurus to a comic shop just outside of Charlotte. So if you are going to the Open in Charlotte, that's going to be this weekend, you can go to Parker, Banner, Kent, and Wayne to challenge the Metagame Gurus for a chance to win a free T-shirt and some BCW supplies, deck locker LXs, I believe, which is and pretty awesome. They are great deck boxes. We all use them here on the podcast, and we are huge fans of them. So it's really awesome that they have BCW supplies for sending these guys out here to again Parker, Banner, Kent, and Wayne,
Which is a comic store, not a law firm.
not a law firm, surprisingly. And you can find out more information about this event and about BCW Supplies by visiting BCW Supplies on Facebook. All right, so the wrap up again. The only thing that's happening over here this weekend is, obviously locally we have the PBTU from Comic Town, and then in Charlotte there's going to be a Star City Games Modern Open. So definitely keep your eye on that. I know that these Vizier decks are sort of like sweeping the nation. There's a new one that like can kill on turn 2, which I think is fairly interesting.
We'll see if that one.
We'll see if
doesn't
Hall of the
it
Bandit
involves
Lord.
Wild Cantor.
Yeah.
Like Hall of the Bandit Lord.
Yeah, we'll see if those cards like show up in like just wreck face. Could be a potentiality. Modern's a crazy place. Lots of stuff happening.
Mystic Enforcer in the sideboard.
Mystic Enforcer in the sideboard.
I would say I've mentioned that card before. Like I see it in boxes, I'm like, this card's almost good enough, right?
It's
like,
always been almost good enough. Like ever since it was first printed in what was it?
Odyssey.
In Odyssey. I was like, oh man, this card's sweet. Could be like a 6/6 flyer pro black for like 4 mana. Nope. Never did anything.
Hey, now it might.
Hey, look at all these Death Shadow decks. How do you even beat that? They're all cutting Lightning Bolt. You're just like,
it's very true.
Oh, I have a Delirium 6/6 pro black. How do I beat? Oh, can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
You better have Liliana and kill all the rest of their guys.
You're dead.
That's it.
But yeah, we'll tune into that. Modern's great. We love the People's format. The People's format loves us sometimes. Not Dave though. Sometimes
It loves me most of the time. That's
Most
like
of
the
the time.
first time I went 1 and 2.
Yeah,
forever.
it's just like anything variance. It loves you some of the time. But that's what's pretty much happening over the weekend. But that's pretty much it for the show. And we will be back next week. So, obviously you downloaded our show from some source, whether it be iTunes or through your Android, Google Play Store or via MTG Cast. So if you did get us through iTunes, please feel free to leave us a review. We definitely do appreciate that. And if you got us through MTG Cast, make sure you do check out some of the other shows that are on there. There's, for whatever you like, Magic the Gathering wise, it's there for you. So definitely check it out. While you're online, definitely, check out our Twitter. It's just your Endstep. And when you add us, it's at your Endstep. It's great. We also have a Facebook page. Just do a quick search for atyourendstep.com. And at yourendstep.com. Just do a quick search for at your Endstep. At yourendstep.com is our website, though. And we also have an email, atyourendstep@gmail.com. And I believe that we're going to be launching our Patreon this week. So keep follow our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter so that you can get updated when this does go live. And if you want to, feel free to contribute to our Patreon. We would do really appreciate that. We have some awesome rewards, and then we're gonna once we launch that, I think next week we can actually do a giveaway in tandem with it, so we can get everyone sort of involved and give back some BCW supplies swag to our lovely community that we have out there. But that is going to be everything for us this week. We do thank you so much for your time, and you have a great one. Bye.